Weird, wacky controllers. I think that the Nintendo 64 controller is gonna be one of the most recognizable examples of weird controller design out there. Like, how am I supposed to hold this thing with its 3 prongs in my 2 hands? Why are these buttons here so small, whereas the start button here is so big? And who the hell wants to have a sloppy joystick? I think that the main issue with this controller is that it tried to be way too special for its time. Because if we put it next to another wacky controller, the Wii controller, you can kind of see what it tried to do. Like, I know it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at this middle prong right here, and you watch me hold it kind of like that, and then you watch me hold this like that, don't you see it's kind of like a Wii controller before the Wii. But why are we talking about controllers anyway? I mean, who cares how you control your console or your computer? Whether you like them thick and chunky or just plain and generic. I mean, as long as you use them with consent, I don't really care how you play. But controllers are actually much more important in playing games than you may think. This right here is the original Xbox. No, it's not the Xbox One. It's the very first Xbox, like the one that came before the 360, before you had the series. I mean, just don't ask Microsoft about names. Anyway, this Xbox right here is the console that this massive chunker belongs to. And it's also the very first console that introduced online gaming for money. If you wanted to play on your Xbox with your friends online, you didn't just have to pay for your internet provider to provide you with internet, pay for the console to play the game on, pay for the game itself. You also had to pay for the internet again to use it specifically on your Xbox. And if you think, oh, well that's stupid, surely no one would fall for that. Well, as I described in this video years back, console subscription services have absolutely just taken off. And right now, you can't properly go online anymore on any console without paying for it every single month. But what does this have to do with controllers? Well, you see, some of you may have already come to the idea that, hold on, if all the console games are now also available on PC, and a console nowadays costs about as much, if not more, than a PC, then why don't I just get a good PC and then I don't have to pay twice for my internet? Which sounds like a great idea, until you actually go and sit down on your couch with your keyboard and mouse and kind of realize that this isn't very practical. But then why not use a controller? I mean, a controller right here is made for playing games, and it's got a port there where a wire can fit in. And if I take the end of this wire, that's got a little plug that I can fit right here into my computer. Hold on. That's kind of working. But what if I just started up my computer and I want to open up a program? For example, let me try and open up Steam, which is the program in which I keep most of my games, which honestly, like, opening it up shouldn't be too hard. So let's just take the controller and, right. Maybe this is not the mouse thing, but use that one, no. This one, no. I'm gonna try and press every single button. It ain't doing anything. When it comes to controllers, they can't really do half the things I need them to do to actually control the computer. A mouse and keyboard, on the other hand, they can do everything I need them to control a computer, but they're not very practical. Which brings me to my point that controllers, they're kind of hard. It's like trying to make a small device that can fit into your hands and is also somewhat like recognizable, not too confusing with many buttons. It's a really tough process to make something like this. Even when you control every single part of the process, you even see companies be like, well, for the next one, how about we just do the same thing again? But once in a while, someone comes up with a daring plan. What if we do something different? Ooh, look at this. It's a blue box with a little logo, a little controller icon. And there's also supposed to be some sort of wrapper around there, but I'm not showing you that to you yet because, first of all, I want you to close your eyes and imagine in your mind what you think a controller looks like. You'll probably think of something that has 2 joysticks that move around, some sort of D-pad thingy that just points you to things. And then it will have 4 of these buttons where the X button will always be in a different position because that is very convenient and makes a lot of sense. If this is kind of what you're thinking about, well, that makes sense. Because it doesn't matter if you're Xbox, PlayStation, or even Wacky Nintendo, every single controller nowadays kind of looks like this. So let us see what's inside this box. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the Steam controller. Ooh. Indeed. Yes. This is a thing. The confusion you're feeling right now is basically the same thing everyone else felt when Steam released this thing in 2015. What do you even make of this thing? I mean, it does have controller features. I mean, every controller has a home button now, and this stuff looks very normal here. And then here on the back, you have, like, buttons, which, I mean, the Pro, PlayStation, Xbox controllers have that as well, so that's normal, but still, there is something about this controller which is kind of off. I think I'm beginning to see something. Look at the PlayStation controller right here, okay? If I hold it like this, you see how the spoke goes down and like my fingers rest on the top? And then you go to the Xbox controller and it fits in your hand. The Steam controller here, that curves the other way. Like, am I supposed to hold it like this? Kind of makes you wonder who the hell this thing was even made for. I mean, reviewers at the time didn't really like it. Hardly anyone knew about it, and ultimately they ended up selling this thing with shipping for just $5 before ultimately discontinuing it. Well, as for me, I ended up paying a full $50 for this thing, and it was freaking worth it. But how so? Well, let me first go over how this weird abomination actually works, and then let me talk about how I actually think that this thing is rather misunderstood, and in some ways almost superior to anything that's out there right now. Now, we've already looked quite a bit at the controller already, so we'll look at that some more later. Furthermore, in the box, we find some dongle, because this thing is actually wireless, which is kind of wild. You just kind of plug this right here into your computer there, open up right there, get that out, and then right here you have a little hole where this thing goes in. I think that this right here is just bloody clever. Like, a lot of times, like, these batteries go in like that in the controllers, but now it just goes like that. You have a little release mechanism here that you push in and then comes out. It's like, man, how do you even think of that? And then you turn it around. Right, let's look at the rest of the box. In here you find a little quick start guide, which isn't that nice, like steam blue. I guess they kind of went with the blue color. As you can see, it has the instructions, put the batteries in the thing. Did I put the batteries in the right way? Nope, I didn't. God, I'm an idiot. There we go, now it's started up. And then right here you have a little thing. Let's say that my computer is rather far away from me, and I want to plug in my controller, or I want to have the dongle close by. I can put this thing in here, and it still works. One thing that I have noticed though quite a bit is that these cables right here, they have the little prongs, right? These things. This thing flattens them. Basically, they will just come out, and yeah, the cable will just, it will work, but it also will be kind of broken. All right, we're inside a game, and what you find here is that it actually just works like a regular controller. Like, you have this thing that moves you around. You have these buttons here that do the normal stuff of jumping and like attacking like that. You also can use these things here to aim and shoot. And then you can just use that as a reload. Now, the back buttons right here, they're actually reassignable. So what I can do is I can like shoot, and then instead of like pressing X to reload, I can press one of my back buttons, that reloads. I think the biggest thing is basically these things here, but if you just use them, what you find is that this right here is just kind of like your second joystick that you can move around with, although you kind of just have to get used to how that functions. And then this right here is just your D-pad, where you can choose like one of these items here. I can make sure that I put them down, and then you can make use of them, and that's how it works. I guess the Steam controller is, it's kind of like a controller. It is still pretty weird, but in essence, it has everything that a controller needs. The two joysticks, the buttons, the D-pad, the triggers, and if you just hold it kind of like this, it also kind of fits in the hand, similar to other controllers, which makes it a funny controller, but also not my favorite to go and play like fast-paced games with. Like, if I'm using an actual joystick to look around, I can feel immediately where I'm looking based on like where my joystick is. Whereas with this thing here, yeah, you don't really have that good a time to feel where you are. And also switching between your buttons is kind of weird. Here you have to travel downwards to your buttons, which may not seem like a big deal, but if you take a look at the PlayStation controller, you go upwards. If you take a look at Nintendo, you go upwards. If you take a look at Xbox, you go upwards. So this downwards thing is kind of unintuitive. Most of the time I just don't end up choosing this. Yet still, I really like it. Why is that? Is it just because it's some weird gimmicky thing? Well, yeah, pretty much. Although, hold on, there's also something more to this, because let us try and do the same test again where, let's say I just started up my computer and I want to open up my Steam to go play my games. I need to move the mouse from there to there, which with a mouse at a desk is normally perfectly fine, but if I have a controller on the couch, we just saw that this thing is completely trashy. This is because you can't move the mouse, you can't control the computer. Well, let's try it again with this thing over here. So yeah, we're just gonna go sit here and we're gonna go take a look Can we move the mouse with the controller? That doesn't work. That makes a noise, but that doesn't work. Ooh. Do you see that? All right, let's move over to Steam. And it opened. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Where this controller may be the actual better game controller, this one over here is the actual better PC controller. Because when you're not playing games, this thing just controls your PC like a mouse. Like you have this thing right over here that can just, you know, move your mouse about, kind of like a trackpad on a laptop. And you can use this right here as your left click and right click. And that opens that up. And then if you want to scroll, you can use this right here as a scroll wheel. Like, bloody clever. Now, you may not entirely get this when you're always at your PC on your desk, where basically you can have your keyboard or mouse ready at any point in time within arm's reach. But let's say that I want to go out and like watch a movie on my couch over there or play a game from the couch there. Then what I would normally have to do is like go here to the computer, go and like set everything up right here, get up, go over there, be like, oh shoot, I forgot to close that window. Go back here, go and fix it, go back over there, be like, oh shoot, there's no sound, go back here, fix it, and only then I can go back there and enjoy my game or movie. With this, I can just go ahead and use my PC like normal. I don't need to get up anymore, I can just do whatever I want. Well, without a keyboard then, I mean, I'll have to use the on-screen keyboard, which, I mean, look, at the end of the day, this thing is not perfect, which is also probably why it didn't really catch on and they ended up discontinuing it. If you want to have a controller to play good games with, I would say go grab one of these. They're just way better. But if you want to have like a fun PC controller that you can control your computer with, play some games with, but also relax on the couch and just, you know, watch some movies or just have a fun gimmicky controller, go get one of these. They're no longer sold new, but they are sold secondhand, and since people mostly don't really know what they are and they're not the best controllers to play around with, you can get them for rather cheap. After which you can just put it into your collection of controllers and sometimes choose to use or just kind of marvel at how this thing looks like. I mean, I've always felt it kind of looked like an owl. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more about some underappreciated tech in gaming, why not check out this video about the PlayStation V that I made, where we take a look at the successor to the PSP, which wasn't as popular as it. And if you enjoy what I do and want to support my content, maybe check out Overtime, where for $1 a month I make extra videos, where today we're going to go and play a little bit of a game called Age of Empires 2 with this controller. Yeah, this will probably be a rough one. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.